the whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
Hey, this is Lucas and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm operating with a cold. I've had a cold the last few days, so please ignore it. I sound stuffy and I apologize. So let's get with it. So it seems that the World Economic Forum has a few goals. And if you listen to Yuval Noah Harari, we learn what these goals are. And simply, they want to be able to take everything you own. They want to be able to hack humans, control the human spirit and free will, shrink the population, and they want to be immortal. These are not normal goals, and these goals aren't even sane. So who is Yuval Harari? Well, he is the top advisor of Klaus Schwab, and Klaus Schwab is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. Now, the World Economic Forum is funded. It tells us here who it's funded by. It says the foundation, which is mostly funded by its 1,000 member companies, typically global enterprises with more than $5 billion in turnover. So basically, its partners is thousands of companies who basically control all commerce on Earth. And when we go to the partners, we see people like AARP, Amazon. There's power companies in here. So these are the partners to the World Economic Forum. Today, I'm only going to focus on one part of their alluded to goals, and that's the whole hacking humans, controlling free will thing. And what I believe that's going to mean for all of us. And I know that talking about this stuff sounds crazy and that most people think that this is so far-fetched and it's so far out there that only crazy conspiracy theorists believe this stuff. But the idea of hacking humans is in their words. It's somebody didn't make it up on some conspiracy theorists didn't make it up. These are their words, and you're going to hear them here in a minute. But first, did you ever think about what they meant when they told you, or the WEF told you 2 years ago, that you would own nothing and be happy? I mean, most of us would say that we're not going to be happy owning nothing, especially when the rich and elite own trillions of dollars worth of wealth, and they basically own everything. So most people would not be happy with that. But what if global governments partnered with corporations, were working on technologies that would edit your DNA and your genes, and thereby forcing you to be happy with the policies that they put on you, like owning nothing, or happy with eating cricket powder or 3D printed meat? Well, that's what they're working on, and it's what they intend to do. And honestly, it's probably already being done, or else they wouldn't be making such sarcastic, aggressive statements like you will own nothing and be happy. So let's take a listen at what Yuval Harari thinks about hacking humans. And this is the first clip we're going to listen to.
In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. After 4 billion years of organic life shaped by natural selection, we are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design is going to be the new driving force of the evolution of life. And in using our new
So did you catch the part where he says our intelligent design is going to be the new driving force in the evolution of life? And when he talks about our intelligent design, he's not talking about it in the sense that he's including me and you and the guy down the street and we're all going to vote on it. When he means our intelligent design, he means the chosen few or the corporate elite. Think about what that means too. That it means that all of this new life that they plan on creating will take on the form of its creator. And it's not the creator that me and you believe in, but this creator would be a few bloated, evil, rich, greedy elite. They would be the new creators. How do you think that this life would turn out? Do you think this life would be virtuous, brave, or noble? So in the previous video, we heard Yuval Harari talking about creating new inorganic life. But what happens when they start editing the genes and DNA of organic life, like humans, with the end goal of ending free will and decision? Let's hear what he says.
Animals.
You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
And just look at how adamant he is and how angry he is about the whole idea of free will. He makes a huge motion with his arms because he's angry, and just the thought of free will just disgusts him. And he says, whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket. Now that's telling. Of all the examples that he could pick in the world, he picks elections and supermarkets. Now we know that the WEF is made up of people who sell you stuff, food, products and stuff. So what does that mean? It means simply that you're going to be programmed to elect who they want you to elect. And in the supermarket, you're going to be programmed to buy what they want you to buy. What people don't understand is that corporations have been trying to program and hack you for over 70 years. The only difference now is they have the technology to not have to spend billions of dollars and decades of time to brainwash you and your kids through TV and social media. You know, they won't have to do that anymore because they'll be able just to program you to buy their products. No need to actually have to advertise to you or make good food or good products. You'll just be programmed to buy their products. And if the things they weren't wanting to do were not evil or wrong, then there wouldn't be a need for them to actually hack and take away free will from 99.9% of the population. Just let that sink in. If it wasn't wrong and they knew that people would want what they offered, they wouldn't need to take away free will from people. Now let's listen to this one here. This is a little bit longer, but stick through it because something he says at the end should really be eye-opening. So let's check it out.
This danger can be stated in the form of a simple equation, which I think might be the defining equation of life in the 21st century. B times C times D equals R, which means biological knowledge multiplied by computing power multiplied by data equals the ability to hack humans, R. If you know enough biology and you have enough computing power and data, you can hack my body and my brain and my life, and you can understand me better than I understand myself. You can know my personality type, my political views, my sexual preferences, my mental weaknesses, my deepest fears and hopes. You know more about me than I know about myself. And you can do that not just to me, but to everyone. A system that understands us better than we understand ourselves can predict our feelings and decisions, can manipulate our feelings and decisions, and can ultimately make decisions for us. Now, in the past, many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people.
So one of the ways they could hack you is through gene editing, and there is something called CRISPR-Cas9. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know that it's basically a couple women won a Nobel Prize because they mapped out the whole genome of a human being, and they can go in and edit this stuff. Now, here's a video explaining CRISPR-Cas9 and what it is. Check it out.
In a document, if we suspect we've misspelled a word, we can use the find function to highlight the error and correct it or delete it. Within our DNA, that function is taken on by a system called CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR is short for clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. CRISPR consists of two components, the Cas9 protein that can cut DNA and a guide RNA that can recognize the sequence of DNA to be edited. To use CRISPR-Cas9, scientists first identify the sequence of the human genome that's causing a health problem. Then they create a specific guide RNA to recognize that particular stretch of A's, T's, G's, and C's in the DNA. The guide RNA is attached to the DNA cutting enzyme Cas9, and then this complex is introduced to the target cells. It locates the target letter sequence and cuts the DNA. At that point, scientists can then edit the existing genome by either modifying, deleting, or inserting new sequences. It effectively makes CRISPR-Cas9 a cut-and-paste tool for DNA editing. In the future, scientists hope to use CRISPR-Cas9 to develop critical advances in patient care, or even cure lifelong inherited diseases.
And as always, they tell you that they will cure disease, help mankind, help kids with cancer with these technologies, but we know that's just not true. These technologies are funded by the elite and disguised as ways to help humanity. It's the way it's always been. So let's think about this for a moment. If gene expression, like disease, and if that can be edited out from DNA, and physical traits can be edited, because we hear about designer babies that will be coming out in the future, and that's where the doctor and parents get into a room and they decide what hair color the parents want, what eye color, the height, and all those undesirable physical traits that people don't want, they're edited out from the DNA, and then the baby will be born. Well, if you can edit those traits, then why can't traits like rebelliousness, resistance to authority, free will, why can't they be edited out? So you might say, what's the big deal? If a corporation or government wants to hack me, okay, I'll never notice the difference. They'll edit to my DNA and it won't be no big deal. Just let me get back to watching Netflix. Well, the problem with that is that you would no longer be a free human made in the image of your creator, but you would be a corporate product, as in the same way that Monsanto owns the patent to their GMO crops that they create. We've all seen how Monsanto sues farmers when Monsanto GMO corn is spread via the wind or insects into neighboring fields, contaminating farmers' non-GMO corn. Naturally occurring corn cannot be patented, but if naturally occurring corn is genetically modified and the DNA changed or edited, then a patent could be filed on that new breed of corn. So the cornfields that once grew natural corn but have been contaminated by the GMO corn now become property of Monsanto. And there's an article here talking about how Monsanto has sued farmers for 16 straight years over their GMOs, and they never lose. And here's what the article says, the first paragraph. It says, where is the justice? Since 1997, Monsanto has filed 145 lawsuits, or on average about 9 lawsuits every year for 16 straight years against farmers who have improperly reused their patented seeds. So tell me, if it could be done with seeds and courts are upholding this, then why can it not be done in humans? If a corporation can genetically modify a human and the seed from that human is spread to other humans, does that corporation not own the contaminated humans since they now have the genes that are proprietary to that corporation? Really think about this, because this is the future that we're going into. So here's the next big problem that humans can run into if corporations and governments start genetically modifying humans. But first, let's take a listen to what Yuval Harari thinks of the human race.
Fast forward to the early 21st century, when we just don't need the vast majority of the population.
Because
the future is about developing more and more sophisticated technology, like, again, artificial intelligence, bioengineering. Most people don't contribute anything to that, except perhaps for their data. And whatever people are still doing, which is useful, these technologies increasingly will make redundant and will make it possible to replace the people.
So we heard what he said there. Basically, that if humans aren't providing some kind of use for the elite, like his example was data, if you're not providing data to the elite, or if you're not working or able to work for the large corporations that bring in their billions, and we know that robotics and AI are going to make, like he said, it's going to make these jobs redundant, then you're not needed. So what could be the problem with them editing your genes? Well, what if governments and corporations could somehow program in, a kill switch into the human species to where once you get it to a certain age at 20, 30, 40, you would simply turn off. So you might ask yourself, are these new ideas? They're not. These ideas go back as old as time itself, but now the elite who believe this, now they have the technology to get done what they wanted to do hundreds of years ago. And see if this gentleman here is George Bernard Shaw, and he was a poet. Let me see what it says. It says he was an Irish playwright, critic, a polemicist, and political activist. And he was back in the 1880s through the 1900s. Let's hear his views on humans and see if it sounds familiar.
All punishment whatsoever. I don't want to punish anybody. But there are an extraordinary number of people whom I want to kill. Not in any unkind or personal spirit, but it must be evident to all of you. You must all know half a dozen people at least who are no use in this world, who are more trouble than they are worth. And I think it would be a good thing to make everybody come before a properly appointed board, just as he might come before the income tax commissioners, and say every 5 years or every 7 years, just put him there and say, sir or madam, now will you be kind enough to justify your existence? If you can't justify your existence, if you're not pulling your weight in the social vote, if you're not producing as much as you consume, or perhaps a little more, then clearly we cannot use the big organization of our society for the purpose of keeping you alive, because your life does not benefit us and it can't be of very much use to you.
So who does that sound like? That sounds exactly like the thoughts that Yuval Harari has. And these kind of thoughts on curbing human growth or human population growth and the curbing of free choice, that's the same school of thought that led to Hitler and Mao. And like I said, they now have the technology, or they're working with some of the largest corporations to develop technology that will be able to edit your DNA, or like they say, change your free will. And now let me repeat that. The very people that believe that humans are useless are the very ones that are creating the next generation of gene editing technology. That's scary. And what do you think the Germans were trying to do to the Jews when they were experimenting on them back in the 40s during World War II? Well, they were trying to hack them. But back then, it wasn't as easy to hide as it is now. The same thing that the Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari are looking for now, Hitler was looking for back in World War II, and that's immortality, to be seen as gods, depopulation, or exterminate the people that give them the most trouble, and to control the human race. The only difference now is that the World Economic Forum is partnered with the world's largest corporations and have vast amounts of money, and they also have the technology to finish what the Nazis started in World War II. If people don't start waking up and demanding that our politicians take action against these insane people like Harari and Klaus Schwab, there won't be a chance to do it later, because you will be happy. We also need to stop arguing over stupid social issues. The elite always look at the big picture, and they plan out decades in advance what they want to accomplish. And right now, we as people are getting caught up in stupid, petty arguments, and we need to start looking at the big picture. Okay, now, and I don't want to get too long on this video, because I'm like the rest of people. I've got a short attention span, and I know that these videos can tend to be long. I could cover more with Yuval Harari, but I'll probably just wait to do it later in another video. The bottom line here is that God didn't make mistakes, and he doesn't need or want people who are flawed and damaged to be editing or programming his existing life. If you don't care, please like and subscribe to this channel, as it would really help wake some people up if it can get out there. There's some, big things are coming in our future, and people need to be made aware of it. If you don't care, like I said, please like and subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and take care.